Richard Cerna. I'm the president of the New Mexico chapter, Cadillac Kings, and it's the Albuquerque. We're based out of Albuquerque, but we're also for the state of New Mexico. I'm the worldwide treasure, basically. It started small, and now we're in a lot of different countries, and we get we collect dues, and then we help people out with dues, and we help the other chapters out with dues. But we collect dues annually from across the world, and it's pretty cool. Very nice, and it's a big honor. Well, when we started, I've always driven Cadillacs since my grandpa had them, and so outside of my optical store and here in town in Albuquerque, I always have Cadillacs in front of my shop. And so Skyler and Justin, they're the ones actually that started the contacting the Cadillac Kings. And then those two came over to my shop and said, "Would you like to start and join the Cadillac Kings?" So that was about 12 years ago. And so Justin technically, yeah, Justin was the president initially, and then it was me and Skyler, and then everything transformed in the last 10 years. It's been me as president of our own chapter in New Mexico.
Okay. Have you always liked Cadillacs?
Um, since I was a kid, like I said, my grandpa had them. So I was cruising with my grandpa as a kid in the probably the mid 70s, and my parents would drop me off. We'd go for a ride in my grandpa's car. We'd get thumbs up and hey nows, and very cool. It seemed like my grandpa always had a place to park. I don't know if he had it set up that way or it was just a coincidence, but the Cadillac always had a good place to park. And then my dad would pick me up, and again, it'd be a Chevy or a Ford, and we'd drive home, and I'd be like, "Dad, how come nobody's honking at us or waving at us?" And he would just tell me, "Be quiet." But it was because we were my dad. In my grandpa's Cadillac, that was the bomb, the bomb. Brother man, I own quite a few Cadillacs. I've got 18 of them. So I got 18 vintage Cadillacs. Um, so I have 18 Dream Cadillacs. So one of them I'm working on now is a '59 Cadillac. My daughter made this picture here, Cadillac King. And so this is the idea, this '59 Caddy. There's a '65. I've got that in a convertible. But the '59 is a Dream Cadillac too. But my original Dream Cadillac that I'm been told by my family never to sell is a 1967 Coupe de Ville. I've owned it almost 25 years, and my daughters grew up in it. So that's probably the dream Cadillac because of its value to our family. Oh, of course, yes. In fact, we got some good video stuff. We just had a gathering together to send some video to you. Um, and the club members have become family for one. A lot of them call me pops. Um, and of course, my daughters are in it. My son-in-law Ramiro, he's my vice president. And before that was Chris Vasquez, and he was a good guy too. But everybody kind of changes their ideas and plans. But Chris was a good vice president. My son-in-law is the vice president now, and my road captain, which is Jeremy, and again he calls me Step Pops. I'm his Step Pops. So it's become a fatherly type thing, and it's grown on me as the. I guess sometimes you're a mentor of some of the younger gentlemen in the club, and like I say, they're grown ass men, but I love when they want mentorship and advice, and they give me it too, and they keep me young. So let's see. Well, no, he didn't really approach me. He's like Cadillacs. This is off the subject a little bit, but even like similarities, just by chance, he liked the Boston Celtics. I know you're in LA, but I like the Boston Celtics. So it was just we just lucked out to have that combination. The Cadillacs, when he started seeing my daughter, he had Cadillac shirts on, just Cadillac shirts he bought at the mall and whatnot. And he gets to my house, and of course, there's Cadillacs all over the place. And so mutually, that was a bond immediately. Um, and then he's impressing my daughter with that too, so that helped out a lot too. And so it was a good match, and but he was vice president just about it's been about 5 years now, a little over 5 years, and that just kind of evolved. Like I said, some of the guys that were in the chapter to begin with, everybody moves on, they have different plans and whatnot. So Chris Vasquez was the vice president right before Ramiro. And then I had an opening, and we all voted, and Ramiro came in and does a good job for me. He keeps everything on the up and up, and we have a good time. But it works out easy. There's times we just separate from the family, and we also own some Baskin Robbins here in Albuquerque, Baskin Robbins ice cream shops, and him and my daughter run those for us. But so we separate from that sometimes, and we just go have a beer somewhere, and me and him will talk, and then we get Jeremy in there. So it gives us another avenue to actually. It was another whole avenue to. So it's easy to conversate with that, and we talk Cadillacs, and we're always talking Cadillacs. He's got a '64 Coupe de Ville, 1964 Coupe de Ville. So it's the transition, and the bond is just immense, and we have a good time with it. A good time. And he's got an uncle. He's got an uncle too, Uncle Ray. I call him Uncle Ray, even though he's younger than me. I call him Uncle Ray, and he digs the Cadillacs too. So he's kind of an honorary member to our club, but he's got newer Cadillacs. But he does airbags and lower in hydraulics. So his uncle too just jumped right in, and they got our Cadillac shirts, and so this whole thing it just blossoms really easy. That's a good thought. Maybe we might. Who knows? I have enough that I could pull one motor out, and it gives me a good idea to try to do something and be modern, I guess you want to say. I hope it never gets to that point that we have to do it. That's kind of scary. We'll just kind of take that challenge when it comes about. But it'd be interesting. That'd be kind of cool. I've seen some Mustangs and stuff like that run on electric motors. So, but right now we're just still rock and roll and hot rodding them sometimes. It's going to be interesting when we get to that point. But I would consider it. It'd be interesting. So last year, yeah, that was a challenging time, the whole COVID and the justice and all that other stuff that was going on. But as far as our chapter and COVID, we've been fine with it. Nobody got ill with it and got sick or anything. We kept in contact, like we're doing now, and phones and such, and then we would just be positive that we trusted each other, that everybody was being safe and sound and everything, and we would still meet. Sometimes it'd be at a park and stuff. We couldn't. It was no car shows and none of that stuff. So that was tough, because it's a big part of our life. We all love it. That keeps us going, and it didn't. The car thing, we still cruised. I mean, we still got in and went for rides. Everybody's doing those drive-by birthday parties. Now, drive-by is kind of the wrong way to put it. I called it a cruise by or whatever. So the birthday parties, people are doing showers like that, and baby showers. So those became pretty popular, and that was kind of cool. And then people are still kind of doing them now. So we still got out and did that, and everybody wore a mask. And if somebody, everybody would just tell somebody, if you're not feeling good, just stay home. Don't bring yourself out, and just be respectful. But it was tough. It was tough. And then in our businesses, everybody had to restructure, trying to find employees. But my daughter, Valerie, who takes care of that, she kept that very organized, and we functioned very well through it, which, thank God. But yeah, we do as many things as we normally do, but like a lot of times during the middle of the week, or sometimes we'll get together and we'll all go grab a beer and some nachos or something. So that was on the hold, and they were basically not really, people weren't coming to people's houses as much. But as a president, I kept them all in line and in touch with each other. And sometimes in the mornings text them all at 6:30 in the morning, wake them all up, and and sometimes I'll be having a beer at night, and I'll text them at 10:30 at night. No, but it's fun. We all stayed together. I don't think anybody really came upon some real hard times. I'm not sure about some. Some chapters might have had some people get sick from it and such, and I'm sure. But it was hard in the fact that we normally have annual barbecue meetings and annual meetings that we get out and we make travel plans and we go and visit and we shake hands and get to meet everybody and give hugs or whatever it takes. And so that's been on the down low for a while now. We're starting to get back into that. United Kingdom, being the treasurer, we just sent some money to United Kingdom to. They're having a barbecue now the third weekend, I think, of August. They're having a barbecue, so we send monies to them so they could have their own barbecue in that region. So that's a good thing. And but through COVID, we just stayed in contact. What can I say? And hopefully, we stay stable the way we are, and we don't backpedal anymore. But I don't know if it might have made us a little stronger in a lot of ways. Everybody got a little closer to their families, and good times at home. But now we're trying to get out, and we're supposed to go to. There's a California one coming up, and it's easier. California guys, it's easy because there's so many chapters in one state. So sometimes a local car show there can be 3 or 4 chapters at one show. So us here, it's nice out here now. I'm in New Mexico, obviously, and now we finally got Denver, which is Colorado, and we got Arizona, Texas, Oklahoma. So there might be a point where we got to have our own regional type barbecue. And I always kid with all the boys in California that we're gonna have them come out and visit us. And we got to do it. And me and Jason have been talking about that, by the way. We just got to get Arizona and Oklahoma and Texas, and that's a good group. As far as finding a spot, either Jason in Denver or me here in Albuquerque. I mean, I was born and raised in Albuquerque, and we're Albuquerque is as my dad used to put it, my father would put it. It's a big little town. We're nowhere the size of Denver, but we're a good sized town. But in Albuquerque, if we ever got everybody to come down, the guys in California have talked about it many times. It'll be a grand party here in Albuquerque because I know everybody in this town, so it would be fun. And Corey's come through here 3 times. Corey's come up through work and he was with the animals and such, the zoo. Yeah, he's come many times, or 3 times anyways, and it's fun. And some of the other guys have come, but it'd be wonderful to do that.
Yeah.
But we got to get some of the California guys out of California coming this way, not just to Vegas. Just Canada changed it over the last couple of years. There was a Toronto chapter that's not with us any longer. Toronto Cadillac Kings. Sebastian was his name. Cool guy. We still stay in contact, like you're saying. I'm still going to make a trip up there, but our chapter was going to go to Canada for their little barbecue. They had an annual meeting, but that's fun. For a while in California, I bought a Cadillac in Ventura, and the Temecula boys were restoring it for me. So I had a Cadillac out there that I would use when I went to California. So instead of having to trailer it all the way every year, I had it out there. Finally brought it back because it was it's hard to keep them. They're taking good care of it, but I just had to work on the paint and stuff like that for maybe. Well, at the beginning, we all have our own treasuries to our each individual chapters, but then at the meeting, I'm gonna say it's been about 5 years now. They wanted to have a national treasure, which meant worldwide. They call it national treasure. And at the meeting, like I said, I've been with the club a long time. They know I travel, I venture out everywhere. If you wanted this particular meeting there in your office, I'd gladly jump in the plane and been there for you. But I don't know with the we have our businesses here in town, and I have an optical shop, and then the Baskin Robbins, and they saw it feasible for me to be the national treasure, and they voted me in, and I was very proud of that honor, very proud. Um, Along with that goes a big trust factor, which was over the top honorable, and I take pride in it. And we're back on form. We're like we said about UK and such. Now we can venture out and do different things. But it was an honorable thing, and so they voted me in, and it's been nice. There'll be a point where they might vote somebody else in, and we'll roll with that as that time comes. Not necessarily. It can be no, it's not stressful. When it's time to collect the annual dues, um, it's not really stressful. Other than sometimes we set parameters on the timeline that they got to get their money in. So sometimes if somebody's in direct contact with me, we just we work. I got to work with them on certain things. I don't want anybody to get penalized or fined or anything if we can avoid it. So I'll work with that and take care of them that way. And then sometimes there's a chapter that you just got to work with them. And a couple of times I've kind of talked them into just get all the guys together, get them all to donate some money, uh, and they make it happen. They make it work. Um, but otherwise, it's fun. Otherwise, it's fun. Yeah, it's a good time. Good time. Like I said, I've been working it as New Mexico a little bit more. It's Albuquerque chapter, New Mexico. I would like to have a few more chapters in Santa Fe, Las Cruces. We have a Las Vegas here too, Las Vegas, New Mexico. To branch out like that would be nice to have a couple of chapters. And I've had some contacts, and we tried working on some of them, but they haven't, got around to doing the whole forming a chapter. But that would be the biggest thing because here in town, pretty much got this area covered. And Albuquerque is a combination of there's Rio Rancho and Las Lunas, and Moriarty and such. But growth in New Mexico would be nice. But like I tell people with the Cadillac Kings, you have to be a Cadillac. You have to be a Cadillac lover. It's not like some car clubs where you can just have a car club, and not just that's it's a wrong word, but not like some car clubs where you can have a car club and it could be any make. In other words, it could be a Chevy, Ford, Buick, whatever. So we got to be specific, and that's sometimes a little bit challenging, but um, we get it. It works. It works. The entire entity is we've grown very worldwide lately. I mean, we were worldwide a few years back, but now we've doubled up in Australia, the UK, Canada. We don't have a Mexico chapter. We're New Mexico, but we don't have a Mexico chapter. That would be nice to actually get one in Mexico. So I don't know how I'll be able to work that at some point. Um, but we're growing by leaps and bounds. Like I was telling you earlier in our pre-meeting, the only hard part to that is just I'm very hands-on, and I want to know. I want to know my fellow members in other chapters, and that's the part that's getting hard to. We follow each other's social media and stuff, but it's still not the same as one-on-one. But we're all a brotherhood. We're a brotherhood, no doubt about it.
Okay.
If any of them need anything, they can definitely contact me, and I'll help out. Just yesterday, I was talking to a young man from the Temecula chapter, obviously, and he called just talk to me and what was going on in his life. But I met him in person. I go to Pomona. We go to the Pomona swap meet, um, and he talked to me yesterday for about almost an hour, and just talking about life and cars and getting another Cadillac, and that's awesome. You know what I'm saying? But the only way he's that close to me is by meeting me in person and in direct contact with me, and me with him. But it was wonderful, and we talked, and pretty cool that he had to, he would reach out this far to again get advice from pops over here. Big is always okay, but I would prefer a cap. I think medium to large is better than being too big. It's like anything, even in our businesses, if we get too big, it's harder to control it all. And it's not. I mean, everybody's got their own control of their chapter, but um, it's just the way it is as far as keeping it all on the same platform. Um, but I guess the cap is hard because, like I said, Mexico. There's some areas that, and I said even in New Mexico, if we can get another chapter here in town, in the state, anyways. Um, but a cap would be. I guess we can't cap it. I don't think we could cap it. But the structure of it might be different in because right now the most of the structure is out of California. The the committees in California to Vegas. There's one of the guys in Vegas, but yet we're across the world. You know what I'm saying? So we might have to get a little committee type something going on in that part of the country, the world. We're already there. We're there.
Yeah.
I mean, uh, it just we're there. That's going to have to at some point. You're correct in saying that. It just Ryan nailed it. That's correct. At our meetings, and we used to have some very good meetings. I mean, some well thoughtful discussions. And at one time, we were even thinking of. I mean, even for myself, it was from mid to east, but the east has grown since then. But from mid to east, I would have been glad to try to, I would coordinate things because, like I said, I'll travel. I'll go. In fact, I've been to Brooklyn. Me and Esteban there about going to Brooklyn and just chilling out there with them. Um, and that would be fun. But yeah, I'll travel almost anywhere. The guy Kevin House in UK, he runs a bed and breakfast up there, and standing invitation. He goes, "You get yourself down here and over the pond," as he says, over the pond.
Yeah.
And he goes, you have we have the bed and breakfast. You have a place to stay. Just get down here." So that's what's cool, and that's been on my that's been on my plans to get out there. But I guess back to COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, and back to the treasury part, just real quick. What we did this year on we have annual dues, but this year for annual dues, what we did was there was no mandatory annual dues. Whoever could or whoever wanted to send the dues in was perfectly fine, and if a chapter didn't, that was fine, and that was because of the COVID vote. So, anyways, no, no. Uh, just I hope when we first had our first group of guys, and we're going in now trying to get everybody organized. Uh, we kind of almost disbanded, but then between me and Chris Vasquez that I was mentioning earlier, we were always in contact with each other, and like Justin, who was the one that first contacted Corey, he's up in Florida now. But anyways, me and Chris, and then Chris's daughter, Devin, we all went to lunch, and she just told her dad and me, keep it going. And here we are. And so that's back to I was the president and he was vice. And then he wanted to do some other things. So then we just did another vote and Ramito's the president, vice president now. And, but no, so there was never a quit. But just when every chapter goes through a little turnover rate and you just got to regroup. Badass.
All right, that's good. That's
Favorite story from my chapter.
or a moment, something in time that like kind of sits with you, and you're like, oh man.
You know what? A current moment is our last meeting that we had. To We got together our little cruise just for you and the club. Um, the guys, and coming out of COVID, it was very heart touching because they all pulled out their cars. Some of them had to buy. One of them has hydraulics. They had to buy new batteries, and one guys, they brought their cars. One overheated, one, but they were so happy to do it because I. But that moment was very touching because it's a recent moment. Like the pictures we sent you, there was a whole. I mean, we had it was about 10, 11 Cadillacs, about 14 total cars. So meant about 60 people, and it was great. I mean, that just we're a family, and that was touching. Very, where you have them ready to rock and roll with you, and then we all went to a restaurant afterwards, and the restaurant didn't know what to do with us all walking in, and we did good. We did good. But there's been a lot of good touching moments too, where people have gotten married and stuff like that. But that's my most recent one, and that's the most touching right now. And all my kids were there, my grandkids, uh, some of my buddies' grandkids, and it was just a family event. And my family has become family to our members, and that means a lot too. And and then we got Corey and Jason. Me and Jason are always talking, like, a lot. I mean, anything I post, he's always on it. Brooklyn, Salt Lake City. He's another guy I got to get out there to meet. Um, and some of the old chapter members that aren't in the club no more, and the guys will all know this, but we still stay in contact up north and California, and they're still good friends of mine. Um, all the way to the Florida guys I got to meet. I haven't met them, but Ryan, all those guys up in Alberta. Um, it's a good family. It's very cool, and we all call each other brothers. And you know, um, it might, for us, it'd be like carnal, which brother in Spanish. So they're my carnals. Um, totally, like Ronnie. Ronnie just bought a '65 Cadillac, and he's 30 years old. He went to school with my middle daughter. Um, Jeremy, Jeremy's 32. So actually, no, it's we're actually a younger club than we are an older club, you know. And then you got me, but I tell the boys, I go up, I look like this, but in my mind, I'm still 30 years old, guys.
There you go. There you go. Thank you very much for your time.
You call me or let me know if you need anything else.